Are you stressed because you're running after something, or are you stressed because something is running after you? The moment you're able to differentiate your situation, then you can be able to know whether what you're feeling is actually appropriate or whether it is proportional to what it is that you're trying to do. If something is running after you, then it means you have no control of the run. It means then now you really have to run. And that is when the stress can actually take you down and can take you far because you have no control over it. But when you are the one who is running after something, maybe after food, maybe after money, maybe after a spouse, maybe after a holiday, or whatever it is that you're running after, then you have got the power to say, you know what, I can run, but not too fast. I can rest even in the run. So you have control. And that is why we need to actually sit down before we begin to act on what is stressing us. Ask ourselves, what do I have? And is it a matter of life and death? If I don't get this, what I'm looking for, what does that mean to me? And that is why we need to process our stressors so that you can be able to know, are we the zebra or are we the lion? And so what is stress? Stress is a natural response to challenges or demands that we face every day. And it creates mental tension that are created by difficult situations. Whenever your mind thinks that, how do I deal with this? And sometimes you look at stress and you'll see that some of the situations we are in, we put ourselves there and they are stressful. So stress is the response that is trying to tell you, do something, do something, do something. For example, if you have an exam that is coming up, stress tells you, read, because you do not want to read questions. You can't answer them. So read so that you can be ready. So stress is actually trying to help you to prepare so that you can prevent a disaster. So it's a natural response. And when you look at natural things, they are usually there to help you survive. So stress is not there to kill you, and it is there to help you do something to prevent a disaster or to prevent a situation that you do not want to be in. So it creates tension. The same tension I'm talking about when I'm talking about a rubber band. Of course, there is a limit in which you can stretch the rubber band until it snaps, but there is also the leeway to stretch it. So your mind, when there is something that is a demand or a challenge, then your mind is trying to stretch so that it can actually accommodate and prepare for what it is that you're about to face. And what is anxiety, on the other hand? Anxiety is the natural human response to stress. So anxiety is coming out from the stress. The stress is looking at the outside, and the outside, that is where the challenge is coming. And now it becomes like the response trying to address the challenge. And then anxiety here, it is a response to the stress or perceived danger. And anxiety includes feeling of the worst, fearing the worst would happen. So there is fear there. There is dread, like you're dreading this exam. For example, I remember when we were in that particular university UN, we used to have very difficult exams, like what was it called? Microeconomics, macroeconomics, whatever. And so we used to dread exams in those particular units. And so you feel like if you are given a chance, you don't want to do it. Yet, you are the one who enrolled for the course and you chose those particular units. So now again, you don't even want to do the exam because you feel like this is a bit more than I can be able to handle. The other one is uneasiness. And this is seen by when you are facing good things and bad things. Just before a wedding, you have this tension, the bride and the groom. You're even wondering, is he going to say yes? Is she going to say yes? Or, you're just uneasy. There is tension there. There is nervousness. Anxiety is part of the body's natural fight or flight, meaning anxiety is coming up to help you, whatever it is that you're facing, you fight it or you run from it. And also we are going to see that a little bit deeper. And so when it's preparing your body, there is also biological functions that physiological activities that go on within your body so that you can prepare for this particular engagement. according to statistics, there's no very, very clear and specific statistics, but what we have, we'll work with what I've been able to find. Approximately 204 million people worldwide have an anxiety disorder. Anxiety disorders are different. It could be a specific phobia. It could be social anxiety. There are so many. It could be also OCD, according to our World in Data 2017. And in another study done by Gallup 2019, 1/3 of people around the world reported feeling stressed, worried, or angry. You see, 1/3. 1/3 is a huge number. So again, by age, we are able to see that study done in the US by the American Psychological Association, that according to a question asked, the stress, according to the question of the rate of stress levels, we see the Gen Zs, the ones now, I know you know the Kenyan situation, they feel stressed, like out of 10, 6.1. So they are most stressed. The millennials are second. The Gen X are third. The baby boomers are fourth, meaning the younger you are, the more stressed you are. And I was asking myself, what could probably be the cause of this? One of the things that came through is that these are the people who are relying on social media and the digital forum to be able to get information, to be able to interact, to be able to get entertained. And so there is so much there. Actually, they have more information than we had. Sometimes I wouldn't know where you are. Now I can know where you are because you're going to post photos and I can see. If you have gone for a holiday and have not gone for a holiday ever, I'm likely to feel a bit of stress because if you are my classmate, then it means I'm not doing very well. So Gen Z are more stressed. This is a US situation. I'm assuming that it would not be too different here, but of course we need studies here so that we can be able to understand. And then again, according to gender, 49% of women experience frequent stress compared to 40% of men. So when it comes to stress, women experience stress more frequently than men. But when it comes to suicide and attempted suicide, you realize that more men actually take their own lives than women, because women probably do something about their stress, and so they do not go to that level. So it is important for us to become aware that stress is something that is happening worldwide. It's not something that is happening to you because you're in Kenya, another one because they're in another place. It's something that is happening worldwide because we face, it is a natural reaction. So we all human beings react, but how you address and how you are able to deal with your problems determines whether you resolve or it continues to hurt you. So purpose of stress is a natural reaction. Number one, it helps you to promptly address challenges and threats. Number one, so it is necessary for survival. I want you to imagine a situation where the zebra, in our previous slide, the zebra sees a lion approaching, and because it is not stressed, it doesn't get stressed, it just sits there. So what is likely to happen? The lion will be like, you know what, this is a free meal. I don't even need to run, because I think the cost of the meal, they don't buy the meal in dollars or shillings. They run after their meal. Whereas you go to KFC and wherever you buy, the lions don't buy. They run after it. So whenever they find something already there, they have not bought. So they just enjoy. So basically, the zebra has to be stressed so that it can actually run for its life. If it was not stressed, then it would sit there and the lion would come and enjoy. So we survive when we are stressed because we are provoked to do something about the impending danger. Then the other thing is necessary for success. If you're not stressed by anything, even an exam, what are you likely to do? And I think I saw a few of that during my academic journey. I've seen people who really don't feel stressed. And so what they do is that they just wait for the exam and they do what they can do. And sometimes they fail, sometimes they pass, and sometimes they pass really well. So sometimes and many times, stress is necessary for success. And if you talk to business people who have been successful, they will narrate about situations where they were extremely stressed. So stress is necessary for us for success. Stress is also necessary for growth. And that is why they say growth happens where? Out of the comfort zone. So it is necessary for growth. And then stress is necessary. The reaction is necessary to prepare your body to fight or to escape. We are going to see that one in the slides that are coming. You can be able to see how stress comes in. When is it harmful? Because we are seeing when it is good, and I don't want to be associated with saying that stress is good. I want you to know that stress, if it's not resolved, it's actually very harmful. When it is out of proportion, that is the time stress begins to become harmful. What does that mean? In reality, if what is going on in your life is significant and it is out of proportion with what you can be able to deal with in that moment, then it can be harmful. For example, when you lose, let's say, for example, you lose a leg, you lose a hand, or you lose a loved one, that is significant. That is so significant. And so in that situation, you need to become really aware of what is going on, and you need to become aware of what you need to do so that you can be able to accept the situation as it is, and learn how to move on. So in reality, that stressor is significant. It is out of proportion with capacity to deal with everyday situation. It's not an everyday occurrence that people lose legs. It's not an everyday occurrence that people lose loved ones. So when you lose a loved one, that is out of proportion because it is not something you deal with every day. The other situation is perception. And that one now where we come to mindset. When your mind looks at the stressor in like a bigger proportion that it really is, then the stressor can really weigh you down. For example, let's say you have an exam, and like, for example, for the students, and you have the same exam. It is difficult. That is a subject that is difficult. Whereas some will be stressed and they will be like, I will read for it and I'll do my best. Others will be stressed and they will be incapacitated. So their perception of the danger or the stressor or the problem or the challenge is actually way out of proportion until you see somebody is getting admitted to hospital because of an exam. And yet you are the person who went and registered for the course, and you are the one who said, I can do this. So what is happening now? So perception can also determine whether stress is harmful. If you perceive a situation as more threatening than it really is in reality, then that is what we are calling perception. And that is where now you can see somebody is anxious, not because of a problem that is really like threatening, but because of the way they perceive the problem. So our mindset, our personality, our understanding, our growing up, and the way we see the situations can determine whether we are stressed or not. There's an example I usually give of maybe 3 people who lose a job the same time. They are losing this job because maybe they are being retrenched in that place of work. And so one person will look at it like, you know what? I've lost my job. So what I'll do is that whatever little money they give me, I'm just going to go invest it and see what happens. You see, the stressor is the same, job loss. That is one person now does what? They go invest what they have. They could lose, they could gain, but they are doing something. The other one goes home and says, you know, I've lost my job. So they go to bed. They are not leaving their bed. They are depressed. They are not eating. They're either sleeping all the time or not sleeping at all. That's another reaction to the same job loss. The other person decides, you know what? They cannot retrench me. So the money they get, the little money they get, they take it and go to a lawyer. And so what do? They go and report, and they start a case against the person who retrenched them. So in these particular 3 situations, they are faced with the same stressor, that is job loss, but they react differently based on their perception, their understanding, their personality, and all that. So personality, mindset, and ability to sit down and analyze a situation can help you to deal with the situation and actually deal with it accordingly. The other stressor that can be harmful is prolonged. Either the same stressor comes through over and over again, maybe a disease that keeps coming up. I want to give an example of somebody who is going through, who has maybe epilepsy. So this is a stressor that comes up from time to time. And so it becomes prolonged because by the time you forget that that is a problem, then it happens again and you go back to square one and you're like, oh, now what if it happens when I'm crossing the road? What if it happens when I am somewhere alone? What if, you know, so it becomes prolonged. It's not resolving. And so repeated, when it is repeated now, it becomes now harmful, and it can be harmful to your mental health and to your physical health. The other one is unresolved. Something happens to you and you have not dealt with it. For example, when you talk about losing a loved one or losing a limb, when you don't deal with it and make peace with it and accept, then it is unresolved. And so what? It remains somewhere and it weighs down on you. Unless that load is taken off your back, then it means you're carrying something and you're carrying it all the time. So it makes it difficult for you to function normally, and it makes you a different person from who you were before it came, because you're carrying something on your back. And so you are not the same individual that you were before whatever happened to you, whether it is a loss or a limb or a loved one, because now this is a new situation that you have to accept. So dealing with it and ability to resolve it is what helps you to get back to ability to move on in a normal way. Does not lead to action. You see, we said that stress is supposed to help you deal with a challenge or a threat. But what about when you are not able to deal with to do that? For example, you freeze. You see a lion approaching, and you want to run, but you're unable to run. Or maybe you are in a toxic situation, and rather than actually speaking for yourself, you are actually trying to please the same people who are hurting you. So we see that there are some reactions to stress that are not helping the situation, and so you remain in a state of defeat. And this is when now again the stress eats you up from inside. It's just consuming you. It's taking away your happiness. It's taking away your personality. People say you are a happy person, but now you are not happy. You used to love ABCD, but no, you are no longer interested in anything. That means you are being consumed by something. And that's what is consuming you is the stress, that which you have not been able to resolve. The other one is multiple stresses. And I want you to look at the situation where something like either floods or something that is happening to you. Let me use the example of an exam. You have an upcoming exam. So that is already a stressor in itself, because you want to pass the exam so that you can be able to go to the next level or to graduate. On top of that, you are ill. You have an illness, maybe a chronic illness like diabetes, maybe an illness that is, keeps coming, that has not resolved. So that's another stressor. On top of that, maybe you are going through a relationship struggle. For example, maybe you are not in talking terms with your spouse or your lover. So that's another stressor. So what is the likelihood that your exam you're likely to fail? Not because you didn't understand, but because you are faced with so much. You don't even know whether to start with the relationship so that you can go to the illness, so that you can now go to the exam. So multiple stressors can now become a problem for you to be able to navigate and be able to prioritize so that they do not harm you. So a lot of times you find yourself faced with the different stressors, and that is the time now you become completely incapacitated, and sometimes you are not able even to resolve even the stressors that are easy for you to resolve. So some of the responses to stress, now we will talk based on, we said stress is not a bad thing after all. It's not a disaster. It's supposed to help you act. And if it's not there, actually your survival, it's at stake. We look at eustress. This is a positive response to stress that motivates and energizes people to achieve goals, meaning you get a success, engage in challenging activities, and adapt to new experiences. So this is eustress. In eustress, it enhances your resilience, it promotes growth, and it contributes to overall well-being. So for you, life, when people are saying that marriage is stressful, you are saying marriage is challenging, but I'm managing. Whenever people are saying exams are hard, you are saying exams are challenging, but I'm managing, because your outlook on the stressor is actually positive, and it is motivating you to do something. When we go to distress, this is where there's a negative response to stress that leaves a person overwhelmed by demands, losses, and perceived threats. So for you, you are looking at the stressor as like a disaster. Like, it's coming to finish me. This exam will finish me. I'll never amount to anything. I will fail. I will lose all the money. I will never get my career. I will never get somebody interested in me, all those kind of things. It becomes like a spiral of bad things that are happening to you. It is associated with the decreased performance, because the motivation is not to act. You are in fear now. So you become anxious. Fear is what overwhelms you. you have unpleasant feelings. You don't want to remember that. You don't want to be to think about it. Sometimes when somebody mentions something, you are like, why are you mentioning that? Because you want to hide from it. And the other thing is feelings of anxiety. Anxiety now, rather than resolve, anxiety comes to be now a constant feeling. Every time you think about the stressor, you are anxious, you are fearful, you are dreading the situation, you are dreading the exam, you are dreading going home because of the stress in the relationship. You want to go somewhere and kill time so that you can come home when there is just a few minutes and then everybody goes to bed. Then in the morning, you get up and disappear and, go to work. Type of stress, distress, we have acute stress, which is immediate, short-lived, and it's a response to a specific event or a situation. It can lead to PTSD if it's not addressed. Examples of such are accidents, which are significant. It's not just, we can't say it's ordinary. This is not ordinary. This is more than ordinary stress. Accidents, exams, fires, floods. They resolve. But when they don't resolve, now that's the time now they introduce either episodic, which comes after some time, then it appears it's resolving, then it comes again, or it can become chronic. This is persistent, long-term stress that results from ongoing challenges. Maybe the challenge is not going. Maybe now, like, for example, let's say, imagine it's a marriage situation. Now, that one now is an ongoing, it's an ongoing thing unless it is resolved. The other one is you are not happy at your job place. It's an ongoing thing unless you do something about it. Financial issues, it will be an ongoing thing unless you find a way to solve it. So chronic stress can come from either something that is going or something that has not been resolved. So it's there and it's not going away because it has not been resolved. So let's look at stress appraisal. Now, the way we look at stress, and I want you to put yourself in this situation, and I want you to think about what is stressing you right now. I want you to look at what is your stressor. For example, maybe job for one person, relationship for another, exam for another, or whatever it is that is stressing you. And then down there, it is yourself. Now, the exam, are you looking at it as a threat or a challenge? When it is a challenge, it is something that you can do with the hope that you can manage. When it's a threat, it is something that is coming to kill you and finish you. So there is this two mindset, a challenge, something that requires effort and it requires commitment, it requires input, but the threat is something that is like huger than you. It's coming. It's like a lion coming to consume you. So depending on how you think about it, the way you think about it will be determined by your personal characteristics, maybe what has happened to you through life, maybe how you grew up, maybe what is happening to you now. For example, imagine you are already having a struggle in your relationship and then you have problems at work. Now you are already weakened by this already something that is happening. So you are likely to look at the problem at work as a threat because you are already weak. You are already weakened by this challenging, another stressor that is already going on. But a person who has at home, they have a support, they are good, and everything is going well, they are likely to look at the problem at work as a challenge they can face because they even have people helping them and encouraging them and urging them on. So it's a challenge. So we see things as either threats or challenges, depending on our mindset. We have now another, that is the primary appraisal. The secondary appraisal is, do I have necessary resources to deal with this? For example, let's say you are stressed at work, at your job, but you have a side hustle, that is another job that maybe a business that is giving you income. So what do you feel? You feel like you have other resources to take you that can take care of you, or you feel like you have the resources you need to pass your exam because you have books, you have a library, and you have a good, intelligence. So all you need to do is to put in the work. So the resources are there. So if you feel you have no resources, you are likely to feel like insufficient, and you're likely to feel like it's a threat, and so you're likely to be distressed. If you feel like you have the resources necessary, the money that even if they sack you at work, you still have something, you don't have to go hungry, you can still pay rent, then you feel like you have sufficient resources to take care of yourself, and you're likely to feel like you're stressed. You're likely to feel like, I can fight. I can manage. So basically, we look at stress based on many factors, and you and I, are the ones who appraise and determine whether the stress is coming to kill you, that is a threat, or to challenge you. And depending on how you appraise it, then it will determine whether it's going to be eustress, which is positive, or distress, which is now starting to weigh you down and take you down. Meaning, unless there is intervention with the distress, then it means you are likely to go down and you're not likely to help yourself. So, and we say that anxiety is response to stress. And so anxiety, the fear that you feel when you see something coming, the fear that you see when you feel when you see a lion coming towards you, a snake, a spider, or you see like you're likely to be sacked. You've been summoned 2 times. You have seen that your spouse is not speaking to you. That's stress. The anxiety you feel, it's either what makes you do something. Fighting is not necessarily taking a room to fight. It could be explaining yourself. It could be fighting your corner, talking about it and asking what is going on. That is also what, anxiety is what gives you energy to either run from the situation, because not all situations are to be fought. Some situations are to move away from. And it is new now to ensure that you empower your brain to know the difference, that there are things you fight and there are things you take a flight from. So anxiety is what helps you respond to your stress. Now, the biological response to stress, this is why I'm not an expert, but I'm trying to use all the gymnastics that I can do to try and understand. And so the brain is the one that appraises stress. That's the way we have said, you appraise stress. Primary appraisal will determine whether it's a challenge or a threat. Secondary appraisal were the necessary resources. And in this particular situation, let us look at this. We see an animal that is looking not so nice. It's not smiling. And we have a person here. So what happens is that their eye, unless you see the animal, then you don't know it's existing. But when you open your eyes and see an animal looking like this, what happens? Your eye, they sends messages to your brain, and your brain begins to now recognize. Based on whether you know the animal before, for example, a snake, even if you've never been bitten by a snake, you know a snake can be dangerous. So when you open your eyes and see a snake, your amygdala, your brain automatically, my goodness, your brain automatically detects danger, and this is where the emotional processing is. And this one takes the info, it sends messages to the hypothalamus, which now releases the hormones that are the hormone, the adrenaline, that helps you now to prepare for you either to fight or to take off. That is where now you see that your heart rate goes up. You rapidly begin to breathe because you're trying to ensure there's enough oxygen and the blood is, like you have energy to run or to fight. So based on what is happening with this person, they might actually feel like, you know what, I can hit this animal and I can kill it. Or I don't think I have enough resources to hit it and kill it. So I take a flight. So basically, the body, remember we said stress is a natural response. The body also has a physiological response to stress that enables you to do something about the stressor, either to fight it or to run away from it. So anxiety, some of the signs of anxiety include avoiding everyday situations. This is lingering anxiety, headaches and tummy aches, being preoccupied, over planning, meaning, for example, you are reading for an exam. And I was telling somebody today, when I used to do exams, that is what I used to do. I would go to bed, close my eyes, and I start seeing what I can't remember, go read, come back, sleep again, close my eyes, I see what I can't remember, go back, read. That is over planning, meaning you are anxious, and the anxiety is a bit more than normal. Changes in appetite. You are unable to eat. Either you eat too much or you don't even want to eat at all. Seeking reassurance. You keep asking people, how do I look? How am I talking? Or what's going on? It's because you don't have the confidence and you need reassurance. Tantrums or meltdowns. When something triggers you, you go overboard. You go overboard because you're just waiting for a trigger. Something is already happening. Something is brewing. Avoiding everyday situations like going to work. You don't want to go to work. Difficulty sleeping, either you sleep too much or you're not sleeping at all. So these are some of the signs of anxiety that requires to be resolved, because anxiety is supposed to help you come up with actions that help you prevent a disaster that may happen because of the threat that you feel like it's going to happen. What are some of the common causes of stress? I have categorized them. The first four are the major causes of stress in the world today. Then the others are also causes, but they are not at the four. There are 4 Ds: disease, divorce, death, and death. Disease, health issues. Whenever you go to hospital and you're sent for a test, maybe to the lab, what comes to your mind? The worst case scenario. You're sent for an ultrasound. Could it be this? Depending on what you fear the most. Could it be this? Could it be this? So there is anxiety, extreme anxiety. What if now they go and confirm your fears? Now you're going down, because now your fear has happened. Now, rather than now become stressed so that you can fight, some people just give in and say, you know what, my worst fear is confirmed, and you know what, down from here, I'm going down. So disease is one of the major causes of stress, and especially diseases that are termed as terminal. Major life changes like death of a loved one, death of something significant like a pet, like was happening in another group. They are talking about losing a cat and somebody becomes inconsolable. So major life changes, anything that is happening to you that is major, something that you feel is significant, is a cause of stress. Relationship issues like divorce, and whether it's divorce from a marriage or broken heart from a relationship that didn't work out. Sometimes people are unable to deal with that because they have invested heavily. And this is not about money. They have not invested money. They have invested their emotions. And they feel like, they have owned this person. So you feel like now you're losing a piece of you when you're divorcing, because this is the person you really felt like they belonged. The other thing is financial issues. That is debt. Debt is something that takes people down, because debt, it's like a prison. You are where you are. You're a debt. You're a prisoner to the debts that you have. The others that are manageable and happen all the time: social pressures, whether it is the way you look, the way you dress, what you're driving, where you, how, wherever, all those things. They are not life-threatening, but again, they can be looked at in a mindset that draws them out of proportion, and then you can look at them like, because I don't have a car, I want to die. Those are some of the things that, based on your mind, they could become life-threatening. Psychological causes, meaning you are unable to deal with everyday stressors, you're unable to cope with your situations, the way you are thinking, maybe when you look at yourself in the mirror, you don't see what you like, all those kind of things. Accidents are also major causes of stress, because they actually now come, and whether it's a motor accident or whatever accident, it's usually a major cause of stress, especially when it happens to you. Work-related issues, whether it is too much work or toxicity at work, or maybe too long hours or such, and academic issues are also part of this everyday stressors. Signs of problematic stress. We have physical signs, we have cognitive signs, emotional and behavioral. Physical signs include like feeling sick, headache, sweating, dry mouth, neck pain, chest pain, fatigue, stomach problems, sexual problems, inability to perform sexually, and lack of energy, rapid breathing. All those things are physical. The other ones are lack of concentration, difficulty making decisions, no clear plan, goal, all those kind of things. Feeling confused, and also self-criticism, and all those things. The other behavioral is avoidance, self-isolation, crying, you feel defeated, you feel like you don't know what to do. The other one is change of eating habits, change of sleeping habits, blaming other people, because one of the things that we do best is actually externalizing blame. Even where it's clearly that you can do something to change the situation, we end up finding somebody to blame for our problems. The other emotional is fear, irritability, unhappiness, no meaning to things, nervousness, anger, and worry. So when these things are happening over and over, then there is need to understand what is going on, what is the stressor, and what can be done to deal with the stressor. Dangers of long-term stress, again, we go back to the physical. We have said all those things. And one of the things that I know is that when you are stressed, like chronically, it lowers your immunity. Meaning now, any disease can just get you. Common cold, many. Cancer, it's there, it catches you quickly. Whatever, you become susceptible to diseases because your immunity goes down. You have heart problems, whether it is heart disease, whether it is high blood pressure, stroke, all those things. Then gastrointestinal problems, whether it is ulcers, bloating, all those kind of things that happen to you. So according to, when it comes to physical problems, there are many. There are very, very many. I've just given an example of few. Mental health problems, depression can actually emanate from stress that is not resolving. So it now graduates from stress, it goes to depression because it is now not being resolved. It stops being a natural reaction to something that is happening, a challenge or a threat. Now it's something that is becoming part of you. So it becomes depression. And so you begin to behave in a particular way that is not like you. It can lead to anxiety disorder, repeated anxiety, that makes it difficult for you to undergo everyday activities. Then it becomes a disorder. Harmful coping, for example, some people will, out of stress, they will begin to now try to see, how do I now disrupt myself? You can take alcohol, drugs, eating, all those, shopping, even nowadays we have seen people are betting, all those kind of things. The other thing is also dysfunctions. It could also begin from sexual dysfunction, eating and sleeping disorders, menstrual problems. Some things begin to stop happening the way they should happen within your body and also within your mind. So we look at anxiety now. Remember, we said anxiety is a reaction to stress or perceived danger. So we have different types of anxiety. One is generalized anxiety, which is coming from, it's excessive worry without a reason. And there's another time I was talking about anxiety and I asked, what are some of the things we are anxious about? And somebody said tomorrow. And it's like, wow. I look forward to tomorrow. I knew you are worried about tomorrow. Yeah, anything could go wrong. And when I think about that, I'm like, yeah, it could go wrong, not just to me, but to everybody. So everybody should be worried. And I don't want to be number one. I actually want to be number last when it comes to worry. So I will minimize thinking about tomorrow in a catastrophic way. I'll think about tomorrow in terms of an opportunity to have a new day, to begin afresh. Then we have the panic disorder, which is a sudden, intense fear bringing on a panic attack. It could be triggered by something you think or something you see. Specific phobia, that is, we have fears for spider, snake, rat, fear of praying mantis, or whatever. The other one is agoraphobia, which is fear of being in a place hard to escape. The other one is separation anxiety. This occurs when a person you are close to leaves. I don't know, you've seen adults who cry when somebody is either retiring or somebody is relocating. There is, that is separation anxiety. I'm not saying it's necessarily a bad thing, but if they are unable to move on with life because of that, that is something that needs to be addressed. The other one is social anxiety disorder, which is overwhelming fear and worry. Fear, worry, and self-consciousness in a social setting. So how do we deal with stress and anxiety? How do we manage stress and anxiety? For me, with everything I believe in, I begin with prevention, because I said that I believe in preventive approach to mental health matters, because I believe when we become aware of what we can do to change our spaces, then it means we can manage ourselves and prevent and change our outlook to things so that we prevent catastrophes. We can be able to ensure that if you take care of your body so that you are generally healthy, it means anything happening to you, you already have a body that is healthy to help you fight. If you can take care of your mind so that your mind is generally healthy. You are able to cope. You know how to solve your conflicts. You know how to minimize your, not exaggerate your thinking. You know how to refocus yourself when you're overthinking. You are aware of who you are, what you deserve. You are aware of your boundaries. You are aware of the people who matter to you. You are aware of the people who put you in a good space. Then it means your mind is there and ready to fight whatever may come tomorrow. Then your soul, this is the belief system. If you have a belief system that guides your decisions, that guides your behavior, that guides your boundaries, then it means you already have a belief system that is going to help you fight. Meaning, if you have holistic health, you are likely to be at a good place to fight whatever it is that may come tomorrow. Nobody knows what can come tomorrow. But if you have yourself holistically, then you have a better way of better chance of fighting and winning than a person who their body, they are not taking care of it, meaning they probably are not eating or overeating. They are probably don't even go for checkups. They probably don't exercise. They probably eat whatever they see. So that body is not ready for any problem. It already has problem on its own, so it doesn't need more. So anything coming, it will just come to destroy. The mind again. Are you the kind of person who is harboring hatred? You're harboring a lot of weight. You're harboring jealousy. You don't want anybody else to win. You are just looking at the internet and seeing people happy, and you're like, you don't want them to be happy. Should anything small happen to you, you are down. Why? Because your mind is not healthy. It's already fighting battles that are not actually your battles. So we need to have a healthy body, healthy mind. The other thing is your belief system. Is your belief system an anchor that you can actually count on? Like me, I believe that even if I'm hungry, I should not take that which does not belong to me so that I can be satisfied. I have to work hard so that I can buy my food. And maybe even if I may not have an opportunity to work hard, I will be able to ask the person with food, please, I am hungry, give me some food. So do you have a belief system that can become your anchor? That when you're making difficult decisions, you don't have to really look around and ask around. You already know because you have a belief system that helps you differentiate between what you need to do and set your limits. But if you don't have that, then any problem coming, you have to consult a million people before you can know what to do. And time sometimes is of the essence. You will need to make your decision faster. Again, when you consult, I'm not saying consulting is bad, but when you over-consult, you lose yourself in the consultation, and then it's not your decision. So if it's a disaster, then you blame other people. If it's a good decision, then you don't own your life and your decision. So you actually begin to lose your esteem and the faith you have in yourself. So prevention, holistic health, take care of your body, take care of your mind, take care of your spirituality, that is your belief system, and ground yourself so that you have enough resources. Your body is well fed and well taken care of, your mind and your soul. The other thing is acquiring relevant knowledge and skills. Like now we are here because we want to acquire knowledge and skills on how to manage our stress. You acquire, then you know better, you do better. But when we run away, I know I actually invite people to come for some forums. I am giving free information, and some people will be like, I will invite my cousin who has bipolar. I'll invite my cousin who has been struggling. I'm like, really? What about you? You have nothing to do with mental health. It is because we are afraid sometimes. We are afraid of hearing and realizing that we are part of that situation. For me, I feel like knowledge is power. And that is where when you know, then you can be able to know what to do so that you can put yourself in a good space. So reach out for information, but be sure that the information you are getting is from credible sources so that you don't end up hurting yourself because you're getting information from people who may not be expert or knowledgeable. The other thing is conscious living. Do you have a routine that you engage in, or do you just jump into situations? Do you know when you wake up? Do you know when you take your breakfast? Do you know whether you need to take a walk? Do you know what you need to do? Or you're just waking up and you're like, evening is here, I haven't picked the child from school, and that time is 7 p.m., you forgot. You know, you need to have a conscious life so that you can be able, the same way we have timetables in school, so that people can know this is the time for math. Next time it's time for science. If your life is not organized, then it means it's haphazard. And it means you're likely to have many stressors. You need to minimize stressors by addressing things that can stress you by the time you have. It is a resource. Time is a resource that can solve your problem. But if you don't use the resource well, then you will create problems. You don't exercise, you have a problem. You don't eat well, you have a problem. You don't sleep well, you have a problem. You don't go to work, you have a problem. You don't talk to your loved ones, you have a problem. So time can be used as a problem solver and a preventer of stress. Again, healthy boundaries. When you create healthy boundaries, it is a way of preventing stress. People have a way of wanting to come into your space. And when you're a human being, not an animal keeps boundaries by ensuring they mark their territory. But a human being, you have more boundaries than physical boundaries. You have emotional boundaries. To what extent can people affect your emotionality? Are you able to be sensitive enough to know how person A affects you, person B affects you, or you are the person who doesn't know what is hurting them? And when you know what is hurting you, can you be able to stand for yourself and fight for yourself and say, you know what? I really will not allow you to go beyond here, because the moment you come near me, you're hurting me. So we need to have healthy physical boundaries, mental boundaries, financial boundaries, spiritual boundaries. People don't have the authority to come and question your belief system. It is your belief system. It's not a communal belief system. So they should respect that. So we should ensure that our boundaries are clear so that people can know beyond this point, I'm not allowed. So we need to have healthy boundaries to prevent problems, because the moment the boundaries are not respected, then it means stress will come in form of people coming to either help you, love you, or do whatever it is. So one way of preventing problems is healthy boundaries. The other one is caring for others. Remember, you are surrounded by people. Now, even if you have boundaries with the people who are near you, your workmates, your family, there is no way you can now ignore. If they are hurting, you will find yourself stressed. So take care of them, empower them, educate them, love them, and do whatever you can do. But also ensure there are still some boundaries. If they want to kill you, don't allow to go down. So you need to know how to ensure that even within the limits of the inner circle, you still look out for yourself. Caring for others is a one way of minimizing or preventing stress, because when they are stressed, you are also stressed. Social network is also a way of preventing, but also curing. But it can also be a stressor, remember? So the people you keep around you will either make you feel good as much as they are feeling good. So if they don't like themselves, they are likely to show you how you shouldn't even like yourself either. So remember, when you surround yourself with people, they will affect you in the way they are. So be careful who you surround yourself with and who you call your friend, who you call when you have problems. Some people will be more than happy that you have those problems. So rather than help you, they'll be celebrating and making sure the problem doesn't go away so that it can take you down. So we need to become aware. Social networks can prevent problems. When you're surrounded by people who care for you, love you, they'll encourage you to be a better person. But they can also support you into a direction that will cure your stress. For example, you are required to take a walk because maybe you are getting overweight. So they can work with you, they can help you cure, but they can also help you prevent getting down and making sure you are walking before you get into problems. So it could be preventive, curative, but also social network can also be a source of stress. That is something you need to know. So choose wisely. So ways to deal with the stress. In the long term, we talk about taking care of yourself. That one I've already talked about. Take care of yourself, body, mind, and spirit. In the short term, right? Let's say, for example, there's a stressor going on and your mind is crowded. You can take a walk. You can practice breathing. You can do aromatherapy. You smell something. I don't know whether roses, when they smell nice and they cure, it depends on individuals. You can give a hug to somebody that is tactile. You hold a person and you feel better, reassured. At home, you can express yourself, talk about it. For me, I'm very good at talking about it. I talk, and some people want to disappear from me because I want to express. I don't want it to consume me. Take action, get organized, create your own space. At work, understand your expectations and comply. Avoid multitasking, do one thing at a time, minimize conflicts with other people, get comfortable, and ensure you advocate for yourself. Relationships, remove external stressors, Always establish what's going on in the relationship so that you can recognize whether whatever the problem is outside or inside. Then you can be able to know how to resolve it. Get to the root cause of the problem. Save time for yourself. Remember, before you marry this person, you are still a person. So don't lie to us that they are an extension of you. It is important for you to recognize whether you are married or whether whatever has happened to you, you still need time to be the best version of yourself for your spouse. So you need to look after yourself so that they can have the best version of you. So save time for yourself to re-energize and to recreate yourself. Improve your communication skills so that you can be on the same page. When you're on the same page, you will travel together, the same journey and the same direction. So again, when you have stress that is now a problem, you are not able to move on, it's clinical now, you can't be able to perform your duties, you cannot be able to do things, you may need professional help. In other circumstances, you may have semi-skilled or you have even relatives helping you and you recover. But when you feel like now you are stuck, you need professional help, you could seek help of a physician or a psychiatrist. This is where you can get medication to manage your symptoms. Maybe you can't sleep. Maybe you are how can I say, hyper vigilant, and you need to be calmed down. So you may need medication to manage the symptom, but you will need also to establish the root cause. And that is where psychologists come in to listen to you and to probe you, to go deep into what is causing the stress. Otherwise, if you rely on the physician, the psychiatrist, and take medication, you'll have to take medication forever. If what you are dealing with is something you need to talk about so that you can be able to resolve. If you are feeling guilty, that is why you are always stressed. Unless you talk about the guilt, you will take medication forever. So when I talk about going to the therapist, I'm not just looking for work. I'm also telling you it could be the only way that you're going to get better, because the therapist will listen to you, they will talk, and they will keep your information confidential, and they will be able to help you come up with ways that you can improve your life by change of what you are doing, or maybe stopping to do something you are doing, or maybe looking at a way that you can address the situation. Managing an anxiety attack. Maybe there's a trigger or something is going on and you're feeling like you're having a panic attack or an anxiety attack. Number one, acknowledge that you are feeling anxious, extremely anxious. Acknowledge. When you acknowledge the feeling, then you're able to reaffirm and remind yourself, you know what, this is a feeling. It may not be true. Maybe you're remembering the exam and you're feeling like, you know, I've already failed. Remind yourself, I haven't failed. I haven't even done the exam yet. So you are reaffirming yourself. Then you are refocusing your senses, your eyes. You can recognize something in your space that you can focus on. Now you distract yourself from thinking about failing. You stop thinking about the disaster that is the impending doom. So you refocus your senses. You're breathing. You could breathe and notice what are you smelling. You could refocus your eyes to see what are you seeing. I am seeing like on the wall there is that drawing. Who drew it and what were they? You are actually distracting your mind from the thought that is creating the anxiety. So the senses, all the senses, you can touch something. There's usually something we call a stress ball. I don't know whether you've seen it. You can even take it and, you know, squeeze it up and down. It's distracting your mind. Then you can take something cold, even wash your face with the cold water. You can take a walk. You can do breathing exercises. You can also address the trigger. Meaning you have to think about it. You have to ask yourself, what have I done to ensure that the disaster doesn't happen? Who can help me? And what can I do differently? And in this moment, what do I need to do? So that way is the way of trying to arrest a situation that is taking you down because of stress. Lessons from animals. Animals may not get stressed like you and me, but animals are also trying to survive the world. The same way we survive when we acknowledge stress and use it well, the same way animals also survive. Animals live in the moment. I don't know whether animals think about tomorrow. Even a lion, it will run after whatever it catches, it eats. I'm so sure that the lion will worry, now, tomorrow, will I catch a giraffe? Otherwise, we would see them running after giraffes and putting them somewhere like a stock, the way human beings we do. You want to have millions of money in your bank account. You want to have property everywhere in the world for tomorrow. And then tomorrow you are like, so what was that all about? Many times when you're 78, you're like, what was that all about? I wish I slowed down. I wish I did things differently. Okay, that is a lesson that we learn with age, but sometimes it's also beneficial to learn from other people. So animals don't worry about tomorrow. So what they do, they catch, they eat, and they sleep, and they enjoy the rest of the day. So they don't keep running the whole day, catching giraffes and zebras and keeping them in carcasses because of tomorrow. That's what we, as human beings, we do. Animals alert each other on danger and opportunity. I don't know whether you watch animal programs. You will see when a monkey sees some danger, it will make some noise and the other monkeys will begin to run. And when some animals see an opportunity, maybe it sees bananas or whatever, it will make some noise and the other animals will come. So as human beings, are we doing that? Are we alerting each other when danger is there? Or are we more than happy that, hey, I couldn't wait for them to be in that kind of problems. I knew it. Or are we excited that other people are in problems? We should learn from animals. They alert each other in danger. They also alert each other when there's opportunity. Do we do that? I'm not so sure. They fight for each other. Have you watched buffaloes that one of their own is caught by a lion and they all come and fight the lion and they flee their own? Or are we taking photographs and the video clips when now you're in trouble and we want to post so that you can get likes and so that people can be able to enjoy? When we see somebody naked on the street because their mind is not able to help them know they are naked, we take a clip of it, we send it, we laugh, we make fun of it. Are we fighting for each other or are we fighting each other? Animals fight for each other, but we human beings who have a brain fight each other. Do not be too predictable. I don't know whether you've also seen animals that run, and when it sees the predator is really running hard, it changes direction without giving warning, and the predator just loses like their sense of direction. So we should not be too predictable. Don't just tell everybody what you want to do. I want to do ABCD. That is how you end up realizing. You say you want to buy that plot next to your house. You find it was bought by who? The person you told. They already bought it. So don't be too predictable. Only be predictable to the people who care for you and who matter. And that is why sometimes it may not be very wise to post everything on social media, especially your family. Posting everything, my son is graduating. Oh, tomorrow we are having this, tomorrow. You never know. You never know. So be careful what you post and ask yourself, what is the reason I'm posting? What do I want to gain from it? Always ask yourself that. Do not be too predictable. That's the same way an animal is not predictable. Mark your territory. Again, what did I say? Do not allow people to come to your space and hurt you from there. They can hurt you from their space, but not your space. Mark your territory and say, you know what? You cannot stay in my house, in my whatever workplace and hurt me. You get going and allow me to just stay without you. Mark your territory like animals do. Animals, they mark their territory, and when you get into their territory, you will be in trouble. Ensure you recognize your territory, mark it so that people do not come to harm you in your own territory. Let them harm you from outside there, but in your territory, do not allow. As I finish, growth happens outside the comfort zone. So for you to jump from one side to the other, for you to quit that job that is hurting you so that you can get to the other. When you are quitting, the comfort zone is the job. It is not even comfort zone. It's still a zone where you are hurting, but you are fearing jumping into the other place because you are like, what if I fall? What if I start a business, it fails? Then you will always be in comfort zone. That zone is where you are probably hurting. That's probably where you are not growing. So we need to take the leap for faith, calculate our risks, and then jump off the cliff. Then you might actually realize you have wings. So stress is necessary, but we need to know stress is there to help you prepare. Prepare yourself for retirement. Don't retire and it appears like it's something that has happened to you suddenly, you never saw it coming. Prepare for it. So let's learn, let's think, let's look at the stressors that are coming by age, the ones that are coming by design, the ones that are coming because of ABCD, and prepare for them. Because unless we prepare for them, unless we take risks, then we are not likely to grow. For growth to happen, stress may be necessary. So the same way for children to be born, there is a lot of pain that comes up. So we can't, if you don't want the pain, then you don't get the children. So we need to recognize that. That is the way life is. Thank you so much. I may not have been very academic or scholarly, but I'm trying to address the needs of maybe majority of us who may not be coming from a psychological background, and maybe they may need to see and hear things from a level they can understand. So thank you so much, and back to you, Professor.